Andrew Morgan, a prosperous man in his late 70s, sat by himself in his shiny grey Mercedes, tapping his index finger impatiently on the steering wheel. The air conditioner droned quietly, barely countering the sweltering heat of Kentucky. Having retired comfortably from decades in finance, Andrew was used to life tipping in his favor, yet that day he found himself stuck with a flat tire, far from the ease of his immaculate mansion on the outskirts of town. After several tries to get roadside help to answer his calls, without success, he exhaled deeply and accepted that he would have to wait. Just as a flicker of irritation began to rise, he noticed a youngster walking toward him along the road. A young lad, around 13 or 14, dressed in a faded t-shirt and scuffed sneakers, came up with a determined look. Andrew observed as the boy's eyes focused on the car, then offered a courteous but sure nod. "Flat tire, sir?" the lad inquired with a steady tone. "Yes, indeed," replied Andrew, a mix of relief and uneasiness stirring within him. "I was really hoping for some assistance, but my cell's out of range here." The boy offered a small smile. "I can sort that out for you," he stated, promptly kneeling by the tire. "My granddad showed me how to fix one just last summer. Do you have a spare?" Andrew gestured toward the trunk and watched as the boy opened it and retrieved the required tools. The young fellow worked quickly, his fingers moving with an ease that belied his age. Standing there, Andrew felt a humble sensation creeping in, something he had not experienced in quite some time. He wished to compensate the boy in some way, yet the child remained absorbed in the task, barely looking up. Soon enough, the boy finished, wiped his hands on his jeans, and stepped back with a contented smile. Andrew reached into his wallet, drawing out a few bills, and extended them. "Please, take this. I truly appreciate your help." The boy, however, took a gentle step back and raised his hand in thanks. "Thank you, sir, but I don't need anything. I'm just glad I could assist." Taken aback, Andrew remained, holding the money as he watched the boy turn and walk away down the road. The encounter left him emotionally stirred, though he couldn't pinpoint why exactly. Alone again, he returned the money to his wallet and climbed back into his car, noticing the figure of the boy receding in his rearview mirror. Throughout the drive, Andrew's thoughts drifted repeatedly to the boy. There was a modest dignity in the child, a quiet self-confidence not fueled by wealth or privilege, but by something deeper and more genuine. That evening, as Andrew sat alone in his opulent home, he couldn't dispel the image of the boy walking away with nothing but a smile. In his study, nestled in a comfortable leather armchair amid dusty books he rarely perused, the silence was punctuated only by the steady ticking of an old clock. A carefully prepared steak with asparagus lay untouched on a side table as his mind kept replaying the boy's kind gesture. Over the course of his long life, Andrew had met thousands of people, colleagues, employees, investors, most interactions involving bargains, favors, or deals. There was always a trade-off, a cost, or an underlying expectation. Yet this boy, this complete stranger, had simply helped him out of kindness. Sipping his scotch, Andrew replayed the boy's confident smile in his mind. The child did not appear to have much. His worn sneakers, his faded clothes, and the dust on his hands all told a story, yet his integrity shone through in a way that felt rare these days. The following morning, Andrew felt compelled to find the boy. He wasn't entirely sure why, but a sense of incompletion tugged at him, perhaps stemming from gratitude or even a touch of guilt. With that thought in mind, he drove along the same stretch of road, scanning every passerby for any sign of the young helper. Hours went by as he pulled into gas stations and small diners, asking anyone around if they had seen a boy matching the description. Most would only shrug until, finally, an older lady behind the counter at a local cafe spoke up. "Sounds like you mean Connor," she said, carefully wiping her hands on her apron. That boy is always lending a hand around here. He lives with his mom over in Harlan." "Harlan," repeated Andrew, filing that information away. "Thank you." The town of Harlan, nestled in the foothills of the Appalachians, lay about an hour away. Despite a picturesque drive, Andrew's mind swirled with questions. What sort of life did this boy lead? What kind of family nurtured someone like him? Arriving in Harlan, Andrew found the streets lined with modest homes and small businesses that hummed with a quiet rhythm. He inquired with local residents about Connor until he was directed toward a modest house on the town's edge. The house, although a bit weathered, was neat with a front porch that sagged slightly under its own weight. Andrew parked his car hesitantly, unsure of what to say, and after taking a steadying breath, knocked on the door. It swung open shortly, revealing a woman in her early 40s. She appeared tired yet warm, her eyes alert and inquisitive as she gauged him. "Can I help you?" she asked. "Good morning," said Andrew, clearing his throat. "I'm sorry to intrude, but I believe I met your son yesterday. Connor, isn't it? He helped me when my tire went flat." Her face softened immediately. "That does sound like my Connor. He's always out there lending a hand." "I wanted to thank him properly," Andrew explained. "He even refused any payment yesterday." The woman nodded and stepped aside to invite him in. "He's in the backyard. Feel free to wait." Andrew entered and took in the simple decor, the old yet clean furniture, the walls lined with family photos and a few sketches that looked like they were made by a much younger Connor. It was a world apart from his own residence with its polished surfaces and pricey art, yet there was a warmth here that made the place feel alive. He followed the woman to the backyard, where Connor was mending a fence. The boy glanced up, surprised, to see Andrew. "Hey, mister," he said, drying his hands on his jeans. "What brings you here?" Andrew smiled, admittedly a bit nervous. "I just wanted to thank you again. You helped me when I really needed it, and I haven't stopped thinking about it." Connor shrugged, his expression relaxed and sincere. It wasn't a big deal. But to Andrew, it meant everything, and he was determined to show his gratitude. Connor leaned casually against the fence, his eyes fixed on Andrew for a moment. No words passed until Andrew finally spoke. "I don't think you realize how much this meant. Most people don't help strangers without expecting something in return." Connor cocked his head in mild confusion. "I don't see it that way. If someone needs a hand and I can do it, why wouldn't I?" Andrew was impressed by the straightforward logic of the boy. Looking around at the yard, he noticed the mismatched boards holding the fence together, the patchy, uneven lawn, and a creaky old swing set with rusted chains in the corner. It was clear that Connor's family had little, yet they made it work. "You really have a sharp mind, and your mom must be very proud of you," Andrew remarked. Connor grinned, glancing back toward the house. "She works hard, and I just try to do what I can." Andrew paused, absorbing the boy's words and thinking of his own childhood in a similarly humble home. His own parents had labored hard to make ends meet, instilling in him the value of determination and effort. Over time, he had lost that connection, caught up in the chase for wealth and status. Now, here in this modest yard, a sense of nostalgia and regret washed over him. "I'd like to do something for you and your family," Andrew offered finally. Connor straightened up, a hint of caution in his eyes. "We're really fine, sir. We don't need any extra help. It's not about being in need." "I mean it," Andrew insisted. "It's about doing what's right. You helped me, and I want to repay that kindness." Before Connor could reply, his mother stepped out onto the porch, drying her hands with a dish towel. "Connor, come inside and wash up before lunch," she called, then turned to Andrew. "Would you like to join us? It's nothing fancy, but you're welcome to come." Although Andrew hesitated, unused to such invitations, the earnestness in her tone left. him no choice. "I'd love to," he said, following her into the house. Inside, the kitchen smelled like freshly baked bread and roasted vegetables. A small table, surrounded by mismatched chairs, was neatly set, and Andrew took a seat, feeling oddly out of place in his crisp suit amid such humble surroundings. Meanwhile, Connor went to wash his hands before joining them with an ever-present, easy smile. As they shared the meal, Andrew was drawn into their warm conversation. Connor discussed school, friends, and his dreams of becoming an engineer, while his mother recounted stories about the close-knit community with a quiet pride. In the neighbors who always supported one another, Andrew listened deeply, feeling a warmth he had not felt in many years. Despite all his success, his lavish home had always felt cold and empty compared to this modest house, alive with laughter and authentic connection. After the meal, while everyone was clearing the table, Andrew turned to Connor's mother. "You've done an amazing job raising him," he said. "He has more heart than most people I know." She smiled, her eyes sparkling with gratitude. "Thank you. He's a good boy, but we've struggled at times. We've learned to cherish the little things." Andrew nodded, his mind already buzzing with ideas. He did not wish to intrude, yet he couldn't walk away without doing something meaningful for them. This family had given him a gift he didn't know he needed, a reminder of what really matters. That afternoon, as Andrew left their home, he carried with him a newfound clarity that had been missing for years. Driving back to his grand estate, he began to plan. It wasn't about charity. It was a way to honor the young man's selflessness and the family's perseverance. Connor and his mother deserved better than a sagging porch and faded furniture. They deserved stability and recognition for their daily strength. The next morning, Andrew made a series of calls. He contacted former colleagues, builders, and suppliers, and by midday a solid plan was underway. Within a week, trucks and crews started arriving at Connor's home. Standing on the sidewalk with a clipboard in hand, Andrew directed the renovations as Connor and his mother watched in astonishment. "You really didn't have to do this," Connor's mother said, her voice trembling as she saw the supplies being unloaded. Andrew turned to her with a sincere look. "You've done more than just manage. You've truly thrived, but you gave me something I didn't realize I was missing. Let me give back." Connor remained quiet, standing thoughtfully beside his mother. Andrew knelt down to meet his gaze and said, "Connor, you taught me an important lesson. Helping people isn't about money, it's about being there. I want to be there for you." Over the coming weeks, the house was completely transformed. The sagging porch was replaced. With solid new wood, the roof was fixed, and the old rusty swing set was swapped for a brand new one. Inside, the walls got a fresh coat of paint, the floors were polished, and the kitchen was upgraded with modern appliances. At first, Connor tried to help with the work, carrying wooden planks and sweeping away debris. But Andrew insisted that he'd take a break. "Your job right now," Andrew said with a warm smile, "is simply to enjoy being a kid for a little while." Yet Connor couldn't resist sneaking away to watch the crew, his eyes lighting up with curiosity as he observed them measure, cut, and build. One of the workers, a sturdy man named Joe, noticed the boy's interest and invited him to help measure some planks. Soon enough, Connor was asking questions about the tools and the building process, his excitement completely contagious. Andrew watched from a distance, a feeling of proud warmth swelling within him. For the first time in many years, he felt he was doing something truly meaningful, something bigger than himself. The boy's energy reminded him of the drive he had once known before life became a string of boardrooms and endless financial deals. One evening, as the sun began to set, the renovation neared completion. The family gathered on the porch, marveling at the transformation around them. Connor's mother turned to Andrew, her voice thick with emotion. "This isn't just a house now, it's become our home. I'm not sure we can ever repay you, Andrew gently shook his head, replying softly, "You already have. You've reminded me what life should be about: family, connection, and purpose. I feel as if I owe you my thanks." The final day of the project felt like a celebration. Neighbors dropped by to admire the changes, bringing small tokens such as freshly baked bread, jars of homemade jam, and even a potted plant. Connor's laughter rang out as he dashed around, showing his friends the new swing set and the brightly painted rooms. The house, once tired and worn, now glowed with vitality. Andrew stood on the front porch, leaning against the sturdy new railing and watching the scene. He hadn't experienced such genuine happiness in years, a simple, unfiltered joy born from seeing others flourish. Later, Connor's mother approached with a cup of iced tea, offering it to Andrew with a gentle smile. "You've done more than just repair a house. You've given us hope, and it seems you've found something in yourself as well," she said. Andrew took a sip and admitted, "I have. I spent so many years chasing after money, status, and influence, but nothing compares to this feeling." As the evening light faded, Connor joined them on the porch, his energy undiminished. Looking earnestly at Andrew, he said, "Mr. Morgan, I've been thinking about what you did for us. I want to help people like you did one day. I want to make a difference too." Placing a hand on the boy's shoulder, Andrew replied steadily, "You already are making a difference, Connor. Your kindness sparked all of this. Never lose it." Together, they sat as the sky shifted from golden hues to a deep, warm orange. The fading daylight brought a lingering warmth, a profound connection built on gratitude and shared purpose. When it came time for Andrew to leave, Connor and his mother walked him to his car. The boy's broad smile and his mother's tearful expression were etched in his memory as he drove off, aware that this was not an ending, but rather the start of a new chapter for all of them. In the weeks that followed, more changes unfolded. Connor's growing interest in building turned into a real passion, and Andrew arranged for him to spend time learning from the workers who had renovated the house. Eagerly, Connor absorbed every bit of knowledge, while Andrew found himself drawn back to Harlan repeatedly. Each visit felt less like a journey and more like a return to a true home. No longer an outsider, he became part of something larger, and for the first time in years, he felt content. The tale came full circle in that small town full of heart, where one act of kindness from a young boy reminded an older man of life's greatest lesson: it is not about what you own, but about what you are willing to give.